iZombie episode 7, Maternity Liv. Definitely a funny episode. Like, the main case in this one, I think, gave us a lot of great moments. I think this was actually really unique because not only did we get to see a really funny side of Liv, which I think we always get, most of the stuff that happens, even when it's something cool or crazy, it ends up being funny in some way, like something silly happens. But in this episode, we not only got Liv, but we got Lowell, I believe his name is, and which I think that was probably some of the best pairing this episode had. Like the best pairing this series has had so far, I think, was in this episode between Liv and Lowell, and them just having like this crazy dinner date where it's like he ends up eating the brain of like this genius scientist, or I guess just a scientist. Like, doesn't have to be a genius scientist, but he eats the brain of the scientist, so he learns all these cool facts, and then we find out later in the episode that he's gay, which was probably a little obvious in the very beginning because that was the first thing I thought after she kissed him, and he was just like, okay, and he left. I was like, the doctor, whoever's brains he ate, that person was gay. So I thought that was really funny, and like especially the second time when she kissed him, and he was just like, and he just like actually shuddered. I thought that was a really hilarious scene, and they just had like a silly, fun dinner date, dancing and all this silly stuff, but I thought it was a really cool moment. We got to see this effect from another character. It wasn't just Liv. Because, of course, we don't ever see that, like, with Blaine or anything. When we see Blaine, it's kind of like Blaine is just himself. It's almost like he doesn't even have any sort of effects. He's just a villain. And, like, he just never seems to eat anybody nice or anything. It's like he's just the bad guy. So we got to see that sort of interaction between two characters, and I thought it was actually pretty funny. It was definitely one of my favorite moments in this episode. But there are a couple of cool interactions with Liv and certain characters, particularly the two zombie characters that showed up in this episode. And it was at the very end of the episode, but of course we got to see Babineau's boss go in, and it was kind of cool how he did things because he was like, I'm going to go in first by myself, then I'll give the signal for you guys if I need backup. And the first thing I thought was that's actually kind of cool of him because he was a cop before he was a zombie. So he still kind of sticks to that rule where it's like he's still a good guy, he's still, a zombie and this and that. And initially I thought maybe he is actually trying to hide the case about the missing children, and I believe he is because they kind of wiped a bunch of names off the board. Like, yeah, a lot of these missing kids, they had files and stuff about this and that, and that was kind of linked to the Nine Trails Park or whatever it's called. I think they call it Nine Trolls or Nine Tolls, and like, of course, in the episode, he shot the woman after he had already caught her and everything. So there are some things where it's like, in one aspect, he's still like a cop who cares about his subordinates and stuff, and he goes in by himself because he knows, oh, I get shot, I'll go zombie mode and go like full Terminator, like rip the refrigerator door off, which I thought was actually a really cool scene. And he's like lifting the door like a shield with one arm, and then he's like shooting the guy with the other. I thought that was a really cool scene. It was a smart use of sort of the set that they had, and he just, picks it up and just starts, he kills the guy. But I thought it was a cool little scene, and of course, when he gets outside, he's like, oh, where you hit? Because Liv got shot in the leg. She's like, oh, just hit a twig. And I thought it was a funny scene. He's like, yeah, not a lot of blood. And it was funny because he knew she was a zombie in the first episode when he saw her, because that's why he was like, are you new here, or, how long have you worked here? It was because he knew that she was a zombie as soon as he saw her, just like Lowell did, and that was, those were in the same episodes. It was like pale skin, completely white hair. This is a zombie because other zombies know what they look like, and she's the only person that doesn't actually hide it, except for Blaine sort of hides it, where like with his tans and stuff, a little bit, but his hair is completely white. So it was kind of funny. Like, he's just like, oh yeah, okay, I see, and I don't know how that's gonna play out. I really thought that the boss was gonna get shot in this episode, and Babineau would see that happen, or he would see like, oh, you're bleeding or something, and it would be like, oh, must have been a scratch or whatever, or he'd actually see him on the ground, and then he'd come back like 5 minutes later after he stopped the woman or something, and it would be like, oh, his boss is just standing there walking around like, I wasn't shot, like, I thought I was, and I freaked out or something like that. And I thought that's kind of how they play it, but I guess they're kind of saving that because I think we all know at some point Babineau's going to figure out that Liv is a zombie. So, I don't know how long they're going to hold that off for. Probably not until like season 2 or season 3 if we get that far, which I hope we do because I think this is definitely a really funny show. I think this was a good pickup for the CW, but it was one of those things. I was like, there's so many things that could happen with this guy because he's another zombie. No one knows that he's a zombie just yet. We don't know if he's really involved with Blaine or not. There are a couple of hints like him not letting Babineau kind of go on the sort of this case and look for these missing children. And then what happened at the end here, like there are a lot of these names, which we don't really know if that was fake or not, but he did completely shoot that woman like 5 times after she'd already given up. So I'm pretty sure he kind of planted some stuff there to say like, oh yeah, wipe off like these dozen names or so, and then it really lessens the number of missing children at the park, and that's how they were able to kind of play that off like this is where a lot of these missing children have been. There's still some from the park, but it's not like 60 kids or anything like that. So let's lessen the number and kind of show that working the way we normally work, because his big thing is like we let missing persons handle that type of stuff. Let's go our route, and then oh look at that, we solved an issue that missing persons hasn't dealt with, especially in this episode where Babineau, he wasn't exactly tricked. He was just talking because he thought he was just talking to Major, and unfortunately he kind of got screwed over with that one. That really sucked for him in this episode. I was like, that really blows. And then of course everyone kind of hates him, and then at the end of the episode I'm assuming the reporter put Major's name in there somehow, or something like that, or it just word got around, but they knew that Major was involved with that as well. And like Babineau even mentions, like I had no idea that this is who was on the other line. So in between the scenes or some crap like that, they knew that it was Major, and he's just in the worst position by the end of this episode. He gets busted, and then it's even worse by the end. So yeah, I'm not sure what's gonna happen with him, but he had a moment. I seriously thought he had like a great moment. Like he got busted by the cops breaking into the car, but it was like he convinced the cops to listen to him and look for the brain and everything. I was like, this is perfect. Like they're gonna actually get this guy. I figured he'd kill them, and then Major would like somehow live through that, and he would like bolt because the guy would be trying to chase him down. But it just all worked out. Like the guy even winked at him like, hey, I'm not gonna get busted here. I just say pig brains. So it was like he had this moment where I was really excited. Like they're gonna figure this out. I didn't think, like I said, I didn't think they were actually gonna be able to catch him or anything, and he'd just charge him and kill these cops. Because obviously, as we saw, you get shot, you just go zombie mode, and pain goes away. So I thought that was gonna happen. I thought it'd be a real cool moment where Major would kind of see zombies too, because he's one of the other characters that is really involved in this stuff and really working around some zombie based things, but he doesn't know exactly what he's dealing with yet. And I thought this would be the one where he'd, like I said, he'd see the guy charge the cops, but he would fortunately be able to escape. And instead the guy just says cow brains, and he's just taken off to jail, and now he's gonna get beat up for helping the reporter out. So he had definitely an interesting moment. It was definitely a great moment that I wasn't sure how it was gonna go. I'm like, I don't know if he's gonna come back out and then beat Major up again, and or if Major's gonna get away and try to figure out what the heck do I do. It's like a brain in a plastic Tupperware thing. What the heck am I gonna do with this? It's just a brain. So things are kind of up in the air in that scene. I was really excited for it, and now it's like no one knows where he is, and he's in prison for maybe like the weekend. You break into a car, I don't know, laws and this and that, but it should be something. Like he's in jail, he's gonna get beat up again. He's kind of going down the path of the punching bag for the series, where he gets beat up by zombies, gets beat up by regular people because the cops don't really like him too much for what he's done. And maybe he'll get beat up by some more zombies, later in this series. But I did enjoy the storyline that he had. He's really trying hard. Like, he's constantly going for more and more information because he's looking for the kids, and then it's like he knows who the Candyman is now. Robbie didn't tell him about Blaine or anything like that, obviously for zombie reasons, but there's a lot going on that Major has no idea about, and now it just seems like he's even further away from kind of revealing the truth now that he's in jail, which probably won't last long. It's not like he'll be in prison or anything, but he's getting, like, every time he gets beat up, it seems like he's just going to get pushed further and further away from what's actually happening. So I'm not sure where they're going to take it, but I enjoyed where it ended up in this episode. It's definitely surprising. I didn't expect him to go to jail. I figured he'd have another confrontation with the Candyman, and now he's getting beat up in jail. So not a clue where things are going to go. I'm sure he'll get bailed out, but I don't know. I'm definitely excited for it. I thought it was really cool. Like I said, Liv being like super maternal in this episode was definitely funny. One of the funniest personality changes they had for her, which I really loved. I thought it was just really silly, and her actually going to see the baby a lot led us to see her mother. In this episode, we find out where her mother works. She's at a hospital. She's something big. She has her own office. I didn't actually read what the sign said, but her mother is something really huge, like a manager or something like that, whatever they'd be called, at a hospital. But she's got her own office and stuff. We saw her brother again in this episode. So we got like a couple family ties and stuff in this one, which I thought was just pretty cool. It's like completely random, but we saw the odd connection between her and her mother, where it's like she's obviously become distant for a very obvious reason to us, but she shows, based on the brain, she shows certain emotions to certain characters, and it's like, wow, you seem really upbeat and happy and this and that. And now, I like in the last episode when her mother saw her at home and she was playing the game and being super serious, she was like, well, it's not really out in the world, but at least you're active. So it was kind of cool to see her have this connection, and sort of the ending narration where she's like, I appreciate my mother a little more because of the maternity feelings that she had. And I thought it was just kind of funny. Like, it was cool. And she had lots of silly moments, like licking her finger and like wiping stuff off of pretty much every guy that showed up in this episode. Like, she had some moment where she like licked her thumb and was wiping something off of them. She did that to like every single person that she talked to, except for like the police captain at the end of the episode. So I thought that was kind of funny. I didn't really think about that until later, but it was like she did that to like all of the guy characters she kind of interacted with in this episode, except for Lowell, and that was pretty much it. So it was only like the two zombie characters she didn't do that to. So I don't know if that's like a random little nod to how the characters react or whatever. I don't know, but it was really funny. And then another huge thing was the rat experiment that Robbie was doing in this episode, where we find out exactly what's going on and what turns people into zombies, because he's doing the control experiment. The zombie, the sort of zombie rat, which turns all white and gets, actually really, it seemed like it was much bigger than the other rats. We find out that it's because it's 40% utopium, but it's 60% max danger pop or energy drink or whatever. So that company is definitely going to come back into play, and I knew it would, because in the episode when they kind of introduced Lowell and the entire company, the woman that they went after by the end of the episode was taken from her home, and it's like she's on the run, but she's not on the run. She was like taken from her home, and one of the guys in that episode mentioned like this place is like a cult. Like, if you're in it, you're in it. So I don't know exactly how they're going to build up to us meeting some of these big members from this company, but it's definitely going to happen, because it's not just utopium is random out of nowhere. It's like utopium plus this drink turns people into zombies. So they're doing some crazy stuff. The company kills people off. They give them drugs. Like it was mentioned in the episode, they give them drugs to kind of experiment on people like every couple of months to see what happens to them. So I'm excited, like, for like this grand scheme that's coming up. Like, they're building up to it with these little things. Like, here's this company, the woman in that episode was taken after she was, figured out. Like, I don't know if they're keeping tabs on the police and that's what happened, or maybe the captain's working with them and he knows about the zombie stuff. I don't know. There's like so many threads of, this person's a zombie, this company makes the zombies, or at least partially makes the zombies, this person sells the drug that coincides with the energy drink that turns people into zombies. So I don't know how everything's working out exactly, but there are a lot of different threads for the show to, kind of pull on, and I'm really excited for some of the stuff that they're, kind of showing us. So whatever happens in the next episode should be pretty big. At least a little portion will definitely take place with, the rats and, what happened with the zombie rat. But I'm excited for it. I definitely enjoyed this episode. Like I said, it was pretty funny. Lowell having the brain of a gay scientist just created like a couple of really funny moments that were just really silly, with Liv trying to figure out like what the heck is happening. Like, he literally just shudders when he gets kissed by her, and it was just some funny stuff. So I definitely enjoyed it. I thought the main case itself was actually pretty good because it led to some pretty funny stuff and some pretty cool stuff at the end, like with the captain. As the guy said, he was like Clint Eastwood. He went in and just takes the two people down. So I don't know where they're taking things, but I definitely love this episode. Of course, I do want to know what you guys thought about it though. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and of course, I just want to know, like, with kind of what they did with the sort of rat experiment, where do you guys think that's gonna go? Like, with Max Danger kind of being put into it, it's like 40% was utopium, 60% of that was the energy drink. So it's not, obviously not 100%, and it showed with the rats that survived and didn't survive. Obviously, like, I don't know how the first rat got out. Like, A was the one that was completely healthy and just had sugar water, and then of course E was the one that became the zombie. But the other ones, maybe they were slowed down because they had this drug and the energy drink, which in the right ratio makes zombies, but in the wrong ratio could make you go crazy and kill people. So I don't know if they'll even be able to talk about that, because they aren't going to know what happened with the other rats because they were just eaten by the zombie one. So we'll see how that works. And the zombie rat definitely went full zombie when it was breaking through the cages. But I'm excited for where that's going. I don't know where it's going, but that's why I'm asking you guys. I want to know what you think. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.